All right, and we're recording. So, got this. All right, can everybody see my screen? Looks like it's probably
Yes.
good. Got it. All right, so for today, I wanted to talk about Screaming Frog, specifically in regard to XPaths. What this is just a way to kind of utilize Screaming Frog even better and kind of micro focus in on the data you need for SEO or even outside competitor research. Pretty much any facet of a web page, you can likely grab it and grab it easily using XPaths. As an example of how I've used this outside of it is I did some Christmas gifts last year and I scraped a Cameo website to find out who the cheapest, weirdest people I could find were instead of just going through Cameo for hours. So this is a way that like it doesn't have to be SEO, but it's just a really quick way to automate everything. All right. So what is an XPath? Before I get into that, I want to show you like this screen grab. This is a Google extension I use that I think it's called XPath Helper. It what it does is it parses through the website, and then anything that's a P, which in HTML code would be a paragraph, it gives me the results here. So say there's a specific paragraph class, say there's a specific like div class, I can extract it easily. And oftentimes you'll have clients, very often they'll have like header text above category pages. They'll oftentimes say like P class equals header text like cat. And that way, what I can do is like, all right, give me everything in this class that's that, and then I can grab the header text from every single page. So this is how I QA, and I'll go into that next steps later. But what is it? Much like HTML is a markup language, it is a language that's written similar to this. You can see like closing P's, divs. And what happens is all of that code goes into a browser where it's rendered, and then you get the visualizations in front of you. So it's a way of taking the code and having it mean a different language, similar to like the English language. You can have a bunch of letters and words, but you systematically need to string them together in order for them to have context or that is a very simplified version of HTML, whereas XML is a markup language that's built to parse through that specific language more easily. So that's why I like XPaths for doing this, is because it's a pretty logical way to just grab things quickly, especially once you get the hang of it. Whereas things like Deepcrawl, they use regex, which is a whole different language to parse the same things. Regex is much more powerful, but much harder to use. So that's kind of the trade-off for this. And I'm a very big fan of XPaths and Stock. All right, so I talked about XPaths and kind of went through what they are lightly and how to use them. This is how to actually make it effective outside of buying Cameo things. So I went to custom extraction, and you can see here's the price, top content, bottom content, FAQ content, the amount of products on a page. You go to configuration, custom extraction. You can name the XPaths, put in the XPath here. You can see the drop down, and then what you want to extract from it. You can extract different classes. I typically just do function value or text. Um, Honestly, most of the times you do this, it won't even change depending on what you pick. So I wouldn't really sweat that too much. I would just go, again, configuration, custom extraction, extract text, and then put in the different XPaths. This is really cool, actually. This is a client of ours that their URL structure is atypical. So we can't just say all category pages have slash category. So then how do you categorize the site? What I did was I used XPaths, and if there's content on top of certain classes, it's a category page with content on top. If they have more than one product on it, it's a product landing page. If there's just one price, it's a product display page. So this way, in the back end, all I had to do is scrape, and then I can create a logic that if it has this and this, then it's likely this. If it has that, then it's likely this. So that's a really cool way to like go a step beyond what we've typically done for clients. But again, the use of this is how can I micro focus what I want to take out and extract it easily? And this actual file itself, I saved it as a template. So now I just run it every month. So it's a lot of upfront work. And then now it just seems like crazy magic. So this is what it is. It's crazy magic. Some popular XPaths. And I also do want to stress that the second half of this is just literally me going to be fielding questions and showing and then doing live demonstrations. of how easy it is. So please mess with me and make it hard. But talking about like popular XPaths that I've used, um, you'll see that they all start with slash slash. When I go into some of the helpers, you'll see there's different syntax for it. I have literally never made an XPath that didn't start in slash slash. It just tells you like what to search in the node. For anything of our purposes, just put slash slash and don't think about it. That's what I've done. I don't know anymore. And I've been using XPaths effectively for like 6 years. So don't sweat that. So here you can see slash slash p looking in, bring up the text editor. So like slash slash p would look like this. So it would look like that. Whereas links to websites is typically like link there, anchor text, close out. What this does here is says, go into the A and then give me the href. So for this, it would give me the link, but if I just left it at slash slash A, it would give me the anchor text. So it's a way that you can like parse into the node and then grab specifically what you want. Again, I'm going to be showing how easy it is to like kind of parse through. Whereas say you wanted a title tag, titles tags in the actual HTML code are just listed like this. So what I'm saying is slash slash title, go into the node and then give me this content. Whereas you can see meta description here, it's meta at name at content. That's actually how meta descriptions are written. So this is for just for reference. I'm going to share this after the popular XPaths. But finally, when it comes to QAing and using, these are the three things I would recommend the most. XPath helper, this is what I use and what I'm going to show for the demonstration. It's live XPath reviews while you're doing it. This XPath cheat sheet got me through the first 2 years of people thinking I was a smart wizard, to where I would just use this for everything, and people again thought I was making magic. But you have classic selectors that are in pretty much every single piece of HTML, whether it's say you wanted to grab the first link or the last link on a page, you're able to do that. Say you're counting the product prices on a product display page, you can actually count the amount of products. So say you're grabbing the price with one XPath, you wrap that in a count function, and then it just says like 70. So within one quick XPath, you can easily formulate like, all right, these are the prices, these are the products. That way, historically, say a client wants to know like what their competitors are charging for what have you. Really, that would work well with paid search and different paid media. But I do want to stress that there's like a million applications, and that's what makes it honestly kind of hard is where do you start? And that's why I have the intentions of doing this working session. And finally, Scraper. I don't personally use Scraper. I'm not a fan of it, but if I were starting out with XPaths and scraping, I would honestly probably use this. So looking at it here, this is the interface for Scraper. Say you put in at href, again, that just says, give me all links. Here are the links that come up on the page, and you can easily just copy them to a clipboard, or you can export them to Google Docs. You can save XPaths here, and then like, hey, this is the URL, this is this, and then just grab it up here so you don't have to remember. That's why I'm not a fan of it, because I typically just will go to a page. I have been doing this for a few years, so like I don't need that, and it frankly just kind of gets in my way as I'm trying this and it's not working. That's what I get for being cocky. One more time. There. So for instance, I can do like this. That's all the anchor text. Those are all the links quickly. Say I want a link that contains Yahoo. I can do like, those are all the Yahoo links. Say I want not Yahoo, you can like do a reverse of it. So that's just like a quick way of what you can see. So from here, what I would like to do is open it up to everybody and let me know if there's like something you've been trying to do that you feel like is possible through XPaths, but you haven't done it for whatever reason, such as like grabbing every author name, grabbing every product title, things like that. And what I want to do is do a live run through of like what I do, ways you can go about it, and then some of the next steps. So Was there anyone, one, who had questions, and then two, wanted to go next with a slide demonstration?
I have a request.
Dope, let's go.
For Sunday afternoons, I know I put it in the chat, but was curious to see you do a poll on products on the PLP pages, and then also which pages have footer text.
Awesome. First off, do you know a page with footer text currently? Is this one that has?
Women's sun hats. You can probably, if you go to the top nav, that one has it too.
All right. So let me start with this. What I'm going to do is inspect it. Again, for everyone in the room, inspector, when I said that HTML is a markup language where it takes all the code and then renders it, this is what's sent from the server. They take all of that code and then they render it into this view. But that code is also rendered into what they call a rendered DOM, to where some of these are just like libraries and things that need to execute in order to show to like the full version. So theoretically, this is going to be very similar to this content, but this is more true to what people are seeing and typically where I base my Xpaths off of. There might be instances where I'll have to call that out because it does kind of go into JavaScript rendering, but for this, I'm trying not to get too heavy. All right. So looking at this, where is this content? Okay. So it looks like they have the content. Is it broken into a few different things? Oh, that's junky. All right. So here you can see it's all in this P paragraph, and then it's also wrapped in this div class, this other div class, this other div class. And what you can do, so something like this could be an issue because, all right, so it's wrapped in this paragraph. You can see it's the parent node, and then it kind of cascades into that. I use //p, and then it's actually in there, and this worked for this specifically, where it's coming up. But that's not good enough because on the home page, unless you were doing a targeted list or say some other pages have paragraphs, it's going to break. So it's not really an XPath that scales. So here, let me show. Yeah, there's 6 here. It would be impossible to like really manage that. So what we're going to do is make it way more specific. So you see this dev class here, WP wrapper. I'm assuming that probably stands internally for like a wrapper of context or content, what have you, from the developers. So I'm going to go / div, and then it'll get every div. What I'm going to do is open up brackets at class equals that. So now it's everything with that class. I'm doing / div. Here's the div. When you see the class, I can call the class using an @ method. All of the methodologies are listed in here. But honestly, what I did to learn this was I kept trying to build it, and then I would look and like, all right, why doesn't this work? And then tweak it little by little. That's frankly how I just learned this. So I kind of learned it a little bit backwards, that a lot of the syntax, I'm not sure, but I know it. I just don't know that I know it. So looking at this, we have that. It's coming up, and I'm also getting men's sun hats. So what I'm going to do is skip it another node and do P. So what that's saying is grab me this. Now go further and grab me this. So there's that, but you notice how they're also in spans. This paragraph is good because it grabs the full thing, where when I first went and said like, this is junky, it's because you have a paragraph of text and it's separated into a few different separate spans within this. It's just extra code that you don't typically see. So it's different things like that could add nuances. But right here, this is a good way to like get the text. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to also save it locally because you might actually like to use this. 1 second. Let me get a document started. All right, so there's that. So now let's go here. This is the home page. They likely won't have anything. They won't. Let me open up a few category pages. All right, there's the content there. So this page has content. This page doesn't. So this is a very quick way that now I'll show how this translates into Screaming Frog. So first and foremost, I just opened this. I haven't done anything. For everyone in the room, Screaming Frog is a crawler that what it does is it goes into the site, it looks at that raw source code I saw going down, and then it follows any internal link that's listed in the source code, and then it goes until there's no more internal links that it can crawl. So if you've ever crawled and you wonder why like some links are missing, that means those links are orphaned, that there's no direct links either in the XML sitemap, HTML sitemap, that the crawler is going through and finding. So sometimes with stuff like that, you can assume that Google's having a hard time finding it. It's just a crawler with the front end that we can see, which also means that you can add JavaScript and render it, and there's different things, which very quickly, let me actually make sure that that's not dependent. So I'm turning off JavaScript. I'm looking at the page. This is the home page, so that actually doesn't matter. This one does have content. Let me refresh it now that JavaScript is off. All right, so the content's in the source code. So for this, when I say the content's in the source code, that means you don't need a browser or anything to render it. We'll have no issues with Screaming Frog. Sometimes this code won't exist in the source code and it'll be in the rendered DOM. So I'd have to do JavaScript. We'll likely have one of those before the end of this meeting. So let me get back to this. Custom extraction. I'm going to add this bad boy, call it cat text. Xpath. You can also do regex. You can do CSS selectors. Xpaths, I think, are the easiest for this. Regex is a whole other thing that I just learned for deep crawl that I'll probably do in another training. Here is my XPath, and I'm just going to go to text. So I'm going to hit OK. And then let me just grab the domain for Sunday afternoons. This. Again, you could do a targeted crawl. Say you already have all the category pages. You can do list mode. Just drop them in. I'm going to grab this, start, and I'm just going to go custom extraction because, again, that's the XPaths we set up our custom extractions. Click into it. There you go. Now the site will start to collect. It'll start to crawl, and you can see the text coming in here. So now going forward, what you can do is like set this up. It looks like it might also be tripping other things. Like I have this random date on the blog. So you might always want to review and update, but this just looks like it's a random errant thing. And now my computer's freezing. All right, let me pause it so we can go through. All right, so this is actually another thing too, because you can see whether or not the text is exactly the same. So now looking at these two pages, they're relatively the same. It looks like there might be slight differences.
No, those will be the same. They have to, their face masks and their gaiters are going to like the same page. So it's almost
Okay.
like a duplicate page.
And then here you can see too, that say the XPath matches more than one time, Screaming Frog will automatically just create a new column with cat text 2, 3, 4. So some pages like this might skew the entire setup. So then what I would do with this is either exclude blog pages, add like custom extract, or so here, raw, where is it? Exclude. So now this would exclude anything with the blog. I could clear and then redo it that way. I could also go in and really hyper focus the XPath. So, you know, before, as I shown, there was like that, I did the div to the P. What I could do is like this div to this div to this div to this P. I can put a parent column that maybe it's something like that. There are ways to really get in specific with that. So for the purposes of this, Angie, I think this is good, but say you're running with that and have some issues later, we can definitely hit that. What was the second part of the question? It was the text and then
product count on the category pages.
Got it. So there's a bunch of different ways to do this. I recently just did one with Amazon for I think the deep crawl thing where it said like product one of 9 million. So what I did there was just grab that entire thing that said product one of 9 million and then in a spreadsheet use regex to extract everything that was like one of blank. So then I just had 9 million. What I would recommend for this is what would I recommend? So let's see. Their structure, are they set up with like, is it just continual or is it paginated? Looks like it's
yeah. It'll just, it's like a lazy load.
All right, let me hit it with JavaScript off. See, that's an issue where like, because it continually loads, ooh, what's going on there? Okay. All right. So when JavaScript is turned off, you don't see the images. You can get the dollars, you can get, or rather the price. There's this load more button that'll do nothing. So this will be hard to actually get the product count for a few different reasons. One, because the way it's calling the database, you need to actually like scroll down to do it. So even if I were to do JavaScript, it would likely get more products going in, but it wouldn't get them all because you would need to code into the interface that like you're scrolling down and or clicking load more until it doesn't, and then you extract the data and clear. So I don't know if I can do this very easily during the call, but what I'll show is like my method of doing it.
I think like my goal with this is to find more like thinly merged pages. So would that change it?
To find what?
Like thinly merged, like only has like one or two products on it.
Yeah, so that's actually, we did a good project recently for a client that, so with JavaScript turned off, it would tell you if like, so, all right, so let me show live. JavaScript's turned off, it's hitting that not found because it's paginated. So right now there's 8, 12, 16 products above the fold no matter what. Wait, 4, 8, 12, I did bad math. So what I could do right now is crawl everything and tell you if there's at least 12 or something. But say there's only 2 products, I can get that. So yeah. All right, so perfect. That's also a great point of like how much intent will change in XPath, because I was ready to reinvent the wheel, but we really don't need to. Venture hat, if someone wants to buy it for me, I promise to never wear it. All right. So what I'm going to do right now, again, is div. I'm going to do the class. I just copy pasted, added in, and there. So here's all the prices. There's 12, as I said, from the jump, but I'm going to take this entire thing and I'm going to wrap it in a count. So now there's 12. I'm going to go back into this, do custom extraction, and say product amount. Xpath. Yeah, I'll do that. It might be function value for this actually. Start. You know what? 1 sec. Let me put that first. All right, so now we're crawling. It's invalid because it hates me. Sometimes this happens. So let me do value. All right, so that was an example of value. So now looking at this, you can see 12. Men's bucket hat only has 6. I think that's fine. Should have 0. Let's see if I'm honest. 5 products. Yeah, so this is just a way that you can determine like if there's low. And then from here, what I would likely do is set all this to export into a sheet. So like a good workflow, I'm gonna go into Sheets, and then say you want to do this for like any client or what have you. My recommendation is always building a sheet template that's really easy to replicate and then just dropping it in. I'm gonna do this live so you guys know what I mean. All right, paste special, paste as values. There's no specific reason for doing that. I just like doing it. All right, so what I'll do now is do a long conditional statement. Conditional just means if then that. So if F1 is less than 1, no products. If F1 is less than 5, low products. If F1 is less than 11, mid products, or else fine. So we have that. And then what I'll do now is, so the way this works is there's an order of operations. So it'll go through like, all right, is it less than 1? If so, no products. And then it ignores the rest of the formula. If it's not less than 1, then it'll go on and it'll say like, all right, is it less than 5? No. All right, is it less than 11? Mid product. So you can easily wheel it like that. What I'll also do to streamline this function, and the idea is I want it to work for everything easily. So I don't want to code like if it's an error in cell B, whatever, and then it's this here. So I'll do if C1 equals blank, show me nothing. That way, what I can do is now duplicate it down fully. And here's the formula going. You can see it's there. You can set conditional statements. So theoretically, if you wanted to now, you could just drop in any crawl or any like what have you here for any of your clients if you're creating a similar workflow. If you want to go even a step further, this is just for S's and giggles. I like wrapping all of these in array formulas. So I wrapped into an array formula, it did nothing. So what do you have to do? You have to put all of the actual inner things into an array. So instead of C1, I'm saying C1 to C, and then it's going to be F1 to F. When I say just F, what it does is it goes to the very last single row. So that way you don't have to put like F 20 million. You can just put F and then it understands that it's going through that. I'm going to go through this and just copy over all the F1s. Again, this is anything you can iterate over. I'm going to hit enter, and now the formula actually goes all the way through the row until, because I did that, if this cell is blank, then show nothing. So the formula is still running here. If I were to put that, it would come back up. So this is like another way that you can completely automate a lot of this stuff that I've seen people at like previous agencies just manually go through and just like do spreadsheets, copy paste, copy paste. So this is a way I really love array formulas because this is really annoying to keep QAing and then say like, I want to change this. Like, you know what, like under 5 is not good. Now I only have to do this and then it completely changes all of it. So that's an array formula. I will have separate meetings if anybody wants to go over it. But this is the kind of style workflow that I've gotten used to, is figure out how to quickly parse the information like this, and then set up things at the Sheets level, at the Python level, at the meeting level. It really doesn't matter, but you can quickly go through and parse. You can also do this with pivot tables. So there really is no like be all end all. I've just gotten really good at like doing like iterated formulas like this. So cool. Angie, was there anything
Sweet.
else for this? Anything else I can help with?
Off the top of my head, no, not at the moment. I mean, probably a million things, but they're not specifically hitting my head right now.
Cool. Let me save this. And then did anyone else have like a random thing that they wanted to check out or want to see if something's possible?
Yeah, I do. All right, I'm gonna send you some links, and I would like to pull the link list, I want the link and both the anchor text off of these category pages.
Nope. Is it Slack or the chat?
It's in the
this.
chat.
Okay, so we have all of these, the occasions. One quick thing, I should have showed you guys from the start, but I didn't want you to get too used to this. You can actually use inspect element to like get you halfway there. So going here, I'm gonna look at this price. I'm gonna hit inspect. I'm gonna go to this. I'm gonna right click the price, copy Xpath. So there's a copy Xpath function in here. Reason I didn't show this at first is because sometimes it's really junky. This could theoretically work. So sometimes if you're going in, maybe check a few different pages and make sure that works. You can see the problem with this is that I was grabbing it for all prices and they wrote an XPath that only gave me that. So that's why I don't typically lean on this, but say you're like Stump and you want to get it, this would give me a good idea of like, okay, it's this. Maybe if I take out some of the divs, I can look here or like do this. You can also copy like a full XPath, which just puts in like all of those nested things I talked about. I think it's overkill, but if you're going through your Stump, I've used this once or twice when I couldn't figure something out. Just a heads up that like when you're going through, it's built in. All right, so we're looking for the link list on the side. So this is the like facets and filters, or
The link list is on the bottom, kind of near the footer.
all right.
Yeah, scroll all the way down. Terrible.
All right, so
Right there.
these.
Yes.
Okay. All right. First thing I'll do is see if it comes in with JavaScript or without. It does, so we're good. Good. All right. So inspect. Okay. Dope. This is easy. The reason I'm saying it's easy is because this is a very specific class that's likely not on other things. You can see it's like a link list. There's some parent code here. So what I'm going to do is, again, //a. This will give me all of the, what's it called, the anchor text. So first and foremost, it's, all right, at class equals this. So then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 13, 14. Maybe I did that wrong. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16. All right, and I have 16. So what I have typically done when I'm lazy and don't feel like using a Screaming Frog crawl, say it's just one page, I will literally highlight that. I'll go to a spreadsheet, copy, paste that as values. I'll go back. This is not the right page. All right. And then from here, it's always that. That's the common syntax for this. Again, at href. This one's a little annoying because they use relative links, so then you will just have to do something like this. You can concatenate pretty easily. Now you have the links. So if you wanted to do this in mass, again, another thing I've often done too is just keep these in hidden columns or rows that if I know back, like usually if I have a client thing, I'll have like 3 header rows and then I'll paste this in an empty row right here. And then I'll mark it white. So it doesn't come up, but I know if I'm like going through, like say this was link, I know if I go here, okay, that was the XPath, just as like a reference. Anchor text. That, and then this was. So as I mentioned before, there's linked lists, or rather upload lists for specific URLs. For this, Jazz just needed the specific 15. So first I'm going to go in, clear this bad boy, go to list. List clears out. I'm going to go to custom extraction, delete this, and add the first one. There's this, and now I'm going to just upload the links, and they should all be there. Come on, custom. Some of these pages are doing some interesting things. One sec, how is that happening? This is funny. I've never had something like this happen. Of course, it only happens when you're like doing stuff live. All right. So what I'm doing now is seeing if those classes are replicated anywhere in the source code that I'm not seeing. Because again, it might be dirty code and then they use JavaScript to like clean it up upon render. You won't see this with most sites, but a lot of times like big e-commerces will just have random things like that because they just kept building and building different code bases. And think about it with your clients, how hard it is just to do things that seem normal. So you have to do like really advanced workarounds. So don't be surprised when you see random stuff like this, especially on like legacy platforms like FTD. I'm going to keep waiting. That's how big the source code is. I'm just opening the source code for this page, pretty much what's here, and it's taking forever. To me, that means there's probably a ton of just excess code all over. All right, while that loads, I'm going to QA this a bit. It could just be my XPath extractions are set up weird. So maybe I'll just do inner HTML. It did nothing. Oh God, I am such an idiot. I am so sorry, Des. I'm so used to it going down. This is correct. You can say I haven't done this in a bit. The anchor text, these are the amounts per page, like going across. So say I were to take this, go into the spreadsheet. Wow, I am so dumb. So then, yeah, it goes. All right, let me just export it. One second. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so the way this custom extraction worked, when I showed it in the extension, it was going down. Here, it just transposed the other way. So there is a total of 17 different anchor text links. The reason there went up to 17 is because this page and this page had 17, and then nothing else had less or more than 17. So 17 was the most, and you could easily do something like count blank. So say you want to go count blank, you know, these are this, you do 12. I mentioned that there was 14. So you can do different math that way and figure out like, okay, so of 17, there's 12 that are blank. That means we have 5 filled out.
Mm-hmm.
So you can easily do like 17 minus that, and now go down and it'll tell you like how many are on that page set up. Also with this too, the links are set up. So link 1 would be for this, link 5. And then from there, it's just if you wanted to copy and paste transpose, if you want to do selective things, maybe. Yeah. Does this make sense to you, Jess?
Yeah, I got it.
Cool. It didn't make sense to me at first.
Yeah, no, there's this thing that I used to know how to do, which is called a reverse pivot table. I forgot how to do it. I tried to teach Sam, or not Sam K. I've tried to teach people about it, and I totally forgot about it. I have to relearn it, but it's an easier way to put the link 1 and the anchor text 1 together without having to transpose it all.
Yeah.
Do you know how to do it?
I do really like backwards ways of doing it that I would want to do out of this conversation. So typically everyone here or most like Excel users use pivot tables or reverse pivot tables or what have you.
Right.
I've gotten into the habit of doing queries within Google Sheets. So that's why I'm always in Google Sheets. Here, I'll show a quick example of what that means. All right, so I'll put that there, but right now I'm going to do equal query. I'm going to go to sheet 4. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to say select F, which I'm saying here is similar to like SQL language, like I'm querying this local database. So I'm saying select F, it's column F. You could also do call 4 because it's the 4th in the index. I just use F because it makes sense when I'm looking at it. So now I'm saying select F. Here's everything, but you know what? Maybe I want G too. So I'll select G. But you know what? I only really care where it's this page. So what column is it? C. I want to select FG where B equals A2. So what was that? It's C. All right, so the reason this isn't working is because I wanted to show you what the like the actual formula is before I throw in the styling. So I'm saying select F columns F and G where C equals this URL. The problem being within this syntax for queries, you need to lay it out a certain way. There's different for numbers for strings. Strings are just any form of text. So what I'm going to do is 1, 2, 3 quotation marks, and then this ampersand, and then I'm going to close it out with that as well. Hit enter. So now here are the two this way. If I wanted to change that up, I could do copy, paste, and then it updates this way. All it's doing is just taking that. So this is where it gets annoying. What I would probably do is like select F, which is the first column of that, and then the first column of links, which is W. So I do like F and W, G and W, X. God, I didn't know it was there. So like X where C equals A2. You have to make sure the range is there. So then here I have like, here's this. There's other ways, but this is just like a quick example of like how I'll quickly do it. Instead of doing like a really involved pivot table, I'll quickly write a formula that does all this.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, during our one-on-ones, I would love to show you all this.
Okay. Thanks.
Cool. All right, guys. We have 9 minutes now. Is there any Hail Marys or last random things you guys want to go over? Anything I can help with? Also, if you're not comfortable doing it during a video meeting, please just start a time on my calendar. I'll help you out.
I don't know how long it would take, but I don't know if you had a chance to see my question about polling the people also ask questions from the SERP.
Oh, yeah. Google is kind of hard and annoying to scrape. So, all right, I'll search movies. Right now, I'll just take an easy query. You can just have, let's go. So movies, this is the search. We're gonna look, there's people also ask, or
At the top, yeah.
There it is. All right. What I'm first doing is seeing what it looks like without JavaScript. All right, so people do have the people also ask. Okay, so they're all extended right now, excited the more results. So I can grab these, like the trending movies, what's the #1 movie, anything more, because there is that continued interaction will be a little bit harder. But for now,
Yeah.
let's just figure out like what are the top titles that the people also ask. So I'm gonna expect this. Uh, looks like it's all right. So here it is. And the reason I'm saying Google is hard to do this with is one, this is their bread and butter. They know SEOs, they know we're doing this stuff. So they go out of their way to make it difficult. One of the things they do is kind of an ever-changing CSS class. Depending on the SERP results, they might change it, update it, do other things, what have you. So I tend to lean into containing formulas. So right here, you can see what are the top 10 movies, data, whatever, the class, hide, focus. Okay. All right, what are the top movies? Again, I'm hitting inspect. I'm taking this class. It's wrapped in a div. So now I'm going to use this again to QA and check. Div at class equals. It's super slow now because it's literally every time I write anything, it's parsing through the entire page. So here are the results. Let me try to extract it. Let's see what happens.
Cool.
So another problem is one, they always change like the CSS, or they frequently do it more than other. But another issue is once you crawl and keep doing this, they determine that you're bot traffic, and then you get blocked, you get ignored, you get X'd out. You get a lot of those prompts that say like, do the crosswalks. So usually what people do is either pay for like an annoying service that has coded every which workaround for that. What I've done is I have a local VPN, of virtual private network, where I use an additional computer or what have you, and I'll set like my network outside, and then I'll go until it blocks me, and then I'll manually switch to a new thing, go until it blocks me, manually switch. To be frank, I usually use it for like downloading movies, same thing, just a CYA move. But all right, so this, nothing worse than like when you used to be in office and you would crawl a site and that site would block you, but then they block the entire internet. So if you're in an agency, you were screwed for like your entire client. That's why I paid $500 for a VPN. All right, so upload, paste. Okay. Let's see if this works. And it did not work. So this is another thing where like, let me look at the source code, top 10 movies. So looking at the source code is just like another thing like taking off JavaScript. It's just seeing what renders without JavaScript rendering. Top 10. What are the top 10 movies? All this looks like crap. So what I will do, and this is another thing I recommend people get comfortable with, is finding a text editor and learning how to use it properly. Reason being, I can set the syntax as HTML, HTML prettify, and now I can actually read this. So the way it's, what they do is condense the code before they push it live to make it faster. This just takes the normal syntax and expands it out. So the reason I'm doing this is so I don't have to like break my eyes looking at that. 10. What are the top 10 movies? It looks, all right, so they have a few different matches. All right, div style class. Let me do class contains this. Class contains is a way to make it a bit easier. So, so that got a few different things. Let me add in a space. So now top 10 movies. I forgot I'm not looking at this. Let me add more. Okay. So now I'm going a little more specific. I'm saying contains. I looked at the source code, so theoretically this should work. If it's even any different, hit start. Yeah, Google's pretty good at this. Custom extraction. This is another one where I might have to do the value again. Nope. Let me try one more, then I'm gonna give up. Throw my arms up in the air.
No worries.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Like Google is really good at figuring it out. So scraping Google is usually kind of I don't want to say a fool's errand because I've done it successfully, but there's other tools. I wouldn't typically recommend it for being blocked out. But if there ever is like a specific that you want, maybe for certain queries, definitely let me know, and I could either build something in like Node.js and Lighthouse, not Lighthouse, Puppeteer, that will go and then scrape everything and then give you the data that way. Screaming Frog has some limitations. It'll be great for all of our competitor sites, but then once you get to like specifics like crawling down, hitting the load more, doing all the interactions, you need to mimic a browser. And that's where something like this really helps because Google is really good. So you need to mimic a browser as best possible. Some of those things include like user agents and what have you. So I don't want to get into that now. But yeah, guys, we're up at the hour. Again, if there's any questions, which I think there will be, or if you just want to shoot the breeze after, like during a one-on-one, please reach out to me at any time. I love sharing this stuff and helping you guys out. So yeah, thanks everybody for coming. Really appreciate it. And again, let me know if there's any questions.
For taking the time to put that together. That was super helpful.
Of course.
Thanks, James.
Thanks, James.
James.
Bye.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.